Stacy, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this beautiful battlefield and a lot of memories that you can come and see here at Blakeley. Let's talk about that battlefield and about the influence of the war here.
Well, Blakeley's unique more than a lot of places, and the fact that we have so much of our battlefield still preserved. The original aspects of it, and they're in actual outstanding shape compared to a lot of other battlefields due to preservation efforts that we've put forth here over the years. Over 3.5 miles worth of the Confederate lines are still in the park almost, as well as the Union lines. This was the the last major engagement of the war between the states was here on April the 9th, 1865, roughly several hours after Robert E. Lee had surrendered to General Grant in Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia. This battle was fought. The actual engagement started around 5:45 that evening of April the 9th.
Mm-hmm. It is unique, and you're right, the preservation of a battlefield, because it's open to Mother Nature. So every year, are you losing anything, or do you try to preserve it some way or another?
Yes, sir. It's a mixture of both. We're unique in the fact that the Confederate engineers as well as the Union engineers did such an outstanding job over 150 years ago to their efforts that we're still here. Where erosion is a constant factor, as well as public, having to watch the public, then let them understand how to help us preserve our earthworks that we have in here. And there are steps that we're taking and future preservation for our unique earthworks in the park.
I wonder if people really realize how technical a war is, and especially the Civil War. When you say battlefield, people say, well, it's just some grass. It's just an open space. But there's a lot out there.
Well, this battle in particular was what you're looking at, the dawn of trench warfare. You had over 4 years worth of fighting and American ingenuity on both sides coming up with new technologies, from the mini ball to the actual rifled round. But we're still fighting early on in Napoleonic era. What you started seeing later in the war were entrenchments. This is a perfect example of that. These were defensive perimeters that were set up, designed to preserve their men. Use your artillery at your advantage, use other things at your advantage, as well as your newfangled technology such as your telegraph, your rifled shells, all the way from your actual bullets in your rifle up to your rifled artillery that was effective up to 3.5 miles by that point. This is a perfect example of all of that culmination coming together on a so-called battlefield here at the last engagement of the war.
Mm-hmm. Were they headed for Mobile?
Correct. This was all fell under the campaign of Mobile. Mobile was the prime directive for the Union to occupy the city. The city was heavily defended. The Blakeley battlefield, as well as Spanish Fort, was designed as a defensive against the Union occupation headed into Mobile.
Mm-hmm. Now, when people come here, I know that at certain times of the year you'll have either reenactments or encampments or something like that. Do you try to do one every year?
We try to do something every year for the public to get a better understanding of a day in the life of the soldier, both Union and Confederate. Mm-hmm. We do have full-on engagement reenactments or living history, but we also try to do a lot of living history, weapons demonstration, camp life, how a soldier lived. Some of these guys were several thousand miles from home. This heat is a lot different than what it was in Iowa. And so we kind of try to show all of that, as well as the Confederate soldier and the hardships they were enduring at the time.
I was going to ask you that question. Being knowledgeable of this particular battle and a ranger, what do you try, what is the most important aspect that you try to bring across to people who visit?
One is that there are few and far between places like Blakeley left. Even in our own backyard here, there's a lot of people that don't know where we're at. They have no idea how well preserved something that engaged the whole country for so long, such a terrible war that's right in their backyard. And we have some of the best preserved examples of these men that chose to fight each other and divide our nation for 4 years is right here. And it's no better example than to take children or people in general and actually let them walk on the ground and see. It's much better perspective to see what was going on, and then reading out of a book or having someone explain it to them. Having a kid or a child or an adult on the battlefield, giving them examples that they can look with their own eyes. They can see the dirt that men 150 years ago were fighting over. It's a much better, a much more clear picture that comes to mind for these for our public.
And did the water play a big part as well? This river, this Mobile River?
Yes, sir. The river here is a major influence in everything that Blakeley has to offer, from the town to the Native Americans, including the battle itself. There were Confederate ships that were providing artillery support in the river. The Union ships were the vast, for the most part, the Union, what was left of the Armada, was still trying to come up to the Blakeley area because there were still leftover remnants of the old wharf system that the Confederates had restructured, that the Union could use to help them easily traverse over to the city of Mobile and help them in their plans to occupy and take the city of Mobile. So the river was a very instrumental in the whole concept of not only the defense of Mobile, the defense of this Blakeley area, but also for transportation.
Mm-hmm. Now, if someone wants to keep up with any events that are going on at the battlefield, and of course here at Blakeley, the best place to go is the website.
Yes, sir. Our website will have the most up-to-date information, as well as our Facebook and Twitter feed as well, that we will have a lot of links that will go to our website, and Facebook will be the most up-to-date.
Stacy, let's talk about numbers. Was this a big battle in comparison to other Civil War battles?
Yes, sir. It was here. It was the last major engagement, being the fact major, using almost 16,000 Union troops attacked roughly 3,500 Confederates that were stationed here at Blakeley. In the general area, there was over 45,000 plus Union troops that were engaging and coming in to occupy the city of Mobile. So in sheer numbers, it was a very large battle.
Mm-hmm. How long did it last?
There was over a 9-day siege that took place here at Blakeley between the Confederates and the Union soldiers. And then on 5/45, April the 9th, 1865, fully 16,000 Union troops came out of their works. They were almost shoulder to shoulder for over 3 miles in length when they stormed over about roughly 500 yards of open ground to attack the Confederate positions.
Mm-hmm. And of course, during April, it would have been humid here.
Yes, sir. In fact, that morning it had rained, and so as we all know, down here in the South, after a good rain, the humidity skyrockets. Right. So there is instances of that we have read about the Confederates or the Union troops before they engaged actually taking off their frocks and their coats because of the heat and the humidity as they had that crossed that ground.
So, in your opinion, was it the number? Was it the sheer number of the forces, or was it the weather conditions?
The numbers of the forces. It was obviously an overwhelming Union force that was attacking the Confederates. The Confederates had an outstanding defensive position, as well as artillery. They did not have the numbers. There was roughly 3,500 Confederates manning over 3.5 miles worth of connected lines. Fully 16,000 troops that attacked them. So the sheer numbers overwhelmed the Confederate forces.